Today we will be covering the N6M4 build. The starter set 4 sets. So I'm going to be showing you how to build a demon hunter that is an absolute archer. So what will you need for the N6M4 build? Well, for starters, you will need this full 6-piece bonus of the Natalya sets, which we will achieve by equipping 5 pieces, and a Ring of Royal Grandeur in our cube. Now, the first thing that the Natalya set does for you is it reduces the cooldown on Rain of Vengeance by 4 seconds every time you hit with an attack, whether it's hatred generating or spending. The 4-piece bonus makes Rain of Vengeance deal more damage, but that's not really that important. What's important is the 6-piece bonus. After casting Rain of Vengeance, deal a bunch more damage and take a bunch less damage for 10 seconds. We are going to be wanting to pop Rain of Vengeance as often as possible. Okay, next you will need 3 pieces of the Marauder sets. Now, what does the Marauder set do for you? Calls all companions to your side, so you gain the effect of every rune on companion. And the 4-piece bonus makes sentries deal more damage. What else will you need? You will also need a Bombardier's rucksack. Our sentries are going to be doing the most of our damage, so we need as many of those as possible. And our Bombardier's rucksack gives us 2 more, in addition to the 3 that we get initially. Next you will need, this makes your pylons last twice as long. We don't really have an amulet here that really helps us, so we go with the Flavor of Time because we like our pylons. Next, you're going to need a Convention of Elements. This gives us situational damage when we're on our elemental damage window. For our bracers, we're going to need Wraths of Clarity. Every time we hit with one of our generators, we gain toughness. Since we're using Marauders, we need a Zoe's Secret Belt. This belt was essentially made for the Marauder set. It gives us toughness for every companion we have out. And since Marauders gives us every companion, that's a bunch of toughness. Now, for your Natalyas and your Marauders, it doesn't really matter which of the set pieces you use, except that you need Natalya's Slayer and Natalya's Reflection. And you also need Marauder's Spines. Natalya's doesn't have shoulders, so we need Marauder's Spines. And Marauders doesn't have the one-handed crossbow, or the ring. So we need both. We need all 3 of those. The rest of it doesn't matter. Now, we'll come back to what you want on every piece of gear once we go over the skills. First thing you'll need is Evasive Fire Focus. This will give us more hatred whenever we fire our Evasive Fire. Evasive Fire has always been one of the best generators that Demon Hunters have. And Focus just gives us more hatred. Next, since we're running a Natalya build, we need Rain of Vengeance. And the rune we are taking is Flying Strike. This will freeze enemies in place, allowing us to do more damage with one of our gems. Next up, the star of the show with Sentry, and we're taking the rune Polar Station. This is another way we can crowd control enemies and take our and get more damage against them. Now, next we're going to need, for mobility, we're going to need Vault, and the rune we're taking is Tumble. Best rune on Vault by far. Basically, it gives us 2 vaults for the price of 1. Next, we're building a multi-shot build, so we need multi-shot Arsenal. Arsenal is the best rune on multi-shot, so there's that. We're going to need, since we're running with Marauders, we gotta take Companion. Thanks to our Marauders 2-piece, we have every Companion. So the rune does not matter. Next, for our passives, we need Custom Engineering. This will enable us to have our 3 sentries plus our 2 that we get from our Bombardier's Rucksack for a total of 5. It will also allow our sentries to last longer. Next, we need Call the Weak. Slower to kill enemies are going to take more damage against us. So when we use our Rain of Vengeance or our Sentry, we're doing more damage to enemies. Next, we're going to need Steady Aim. As long as there are no enemies within 10 yards, all damage is increased by 20%. And 10 yards is basically to the edge of the waypoints. So enemies don't have to be that far away for us to get that buff. Next, we need Ballistics. We're using a rocket rune on multi-shot, so and this will increase that damage. Now, for our cube, we're going to need, for our weapon slot, a Yang's Recurve. This makes multi-shot attack faster and deal increased damage. Now, because of the Season 20 buff, we can take a weapon in our armor slot, so we're going to be taking a Dead Man's Legacy. This enables our multi-shot to hit enemies with below 60% health twice. It's multi-shot deals a bunch more damage. And of course, we also need that Ring of Heroic Grandeur in our cube. Get the most out of this, so we can get the most out of this this build. Now, on to the stats you want on every piece of gear. For your weapon, for your Natalya Slayer, you want cold damage, percent damage, dex, attack speed, and area damage. For your gloves, dex, crit, area damage. For your shoulders, dex, cooldown, resource cost reduction, sentry damage. For your chest, dex, hatred regeneration, sentry damage. For your helm, dex, crit chance, multi-shot damage. For your Flavor of Time, fire skill damage, crit cooldown. For your Wraths of Clarity, fire skill damage, dex, crit, life per hit. For your Bombardier's Rucksack, dex, vitality, attack speed, crit chance, area damage, and it comes with sentry damage. So you're always going to get that sentry damage. For your Convention, crit, area damage. For your Natalya's Ring, crit, dex, raw damage. For your boots, dex, vitality, multi-shot damage, all resist. For your pants, dex, vitality, all resist. For your belts, Dex, Vitality, All Resist, percent Life. For your Paragon points, you want to get your movement speed up to 25% because it includes the 10% from your ferrets and the 10% you get from your ferrets and any move speed that's on your gear. And then you want to put the rest into your dexterity. For offense, crit, attack speed, cooldown. For your defense, All Resist, life, armor, life regen. For your utility, resource cost reduction, area damage, life per hit, and then gold fine. And that's going to wrap up this video. If you like what you see, like this video and subscribe for more Diablo content.